Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? Well, I finally made it. A Florida show. I don't know. I wasn't avoiding Florida or avoiding the show. Um, I just, things happen. Hurt my shoulder. Just haven't been feeling up to it. But here I am. So welcome to my show talking about Florida. Um, kind of silly. Um, my first trip to Florida was in 1980. Let's see, 1987. Um, I went with my girlfriend and my daughter, my oldest daughter, to Disney World, of course. Um, and then a few years later, my daughter and I went back by ourselves. Um, since then, I've gone numerous times to Florida. Not very far. I always seem to hover around Kissimmee, Orlando. Rebecca and I did go to Tampa. I had come to think of it, I did go to Tampa before that. Rebecca and I flew into Tampa to see Static X concert because Rebecca and I love Static X, so we traveled out there to go to Static X and stay with my girlfriend for about a week or so, and then we came back, and then I went back again, stayed with my friend again, and hung around with her and her fiance and everything. Got to meet up with a couple of girls from school, had a good time. And then we went back again to go to our on our cruise to the ABC Isles with the Helping Hands for Cruising. So we did that too. So it's been quite a few years since I've been to Florida, but I've been to Tampa. We went to Six Flags. I've gone to Winter Gardens, which used to be like a Southern Belle plantation type reenactment thing with, I believe I'm not sure whether they had oranges, bananas. They had a bunch of different fruit and vegetables that they grew there. And then they had a water show where they would ski in pyramids, like a water ski in pyramids and different things like that. And so I did that when my daughter was young. Or did I do that by myself? No, I did it with my girlfriend Kathy and Vanessa when we went. We went to Old Town. We went to Winter Gardens. We went to SeaWorld. We wanted to go to Arabian Nights, didn't get to. We stayed on International Drive. That was fun. A little sketchy back then, but I almost think International Drive is still sketchy. It's like less there to do. So been to Florida. We drove down once with my other two kids who went to St. Augustine's and then down to Disney and then back up for a trip before we moved to Texas. So, so we used to drive down a lot and then we've flown a couple of times. I think I've told the story about my son not liking my ex-husband and I went to take a flight out of Boston, Logan Airport with my kids. And Philip, we took him to the airport, we showed him the airplanes, and we're like, you want to go on an airplane to go to see Mickey Mouse? And he's like, yeah, that'd be fun. And then we kind of showed him what the inside of the outside of the airplanes, and he didn't like the loud noise. He didn't like the airplanes. So we're like, oh, we already paid for the ticket to go. Like, we're going the next week. And so we're like, oh, all right, we'll just take a big white bus to Disney World to see Mickey Mouse. So we get him. I said to the doctor, can you give him something for his nerves? And he's like, oh, yeah, just give him a Benadryl, half a Benadryl, or a kid's amount of liquid Benadryl or something like that. It'll make him drowsy. He'll fall asleep. It's only, a 3-hour flight anyway. He'll take a nap. He'll be fine. So we get him convinced. He's like, we get him on the airplane. He has no idea it's not a bus. So he's sitting there, and a relief pilot comes on, was the last one on, and he goes, hey, buddy, can I sit next to you? And my son's like, yeah. And the pilot goes, so are you excited to take an airplane to Florida? And my son went, what? And he goes, yeah, an airplane to Florida. Well, my son screeched at the top of his lungs, and I hadn't even gotten him seat belted in yet. I swear he went up, flew up in the air, and went flying over and started wrestling with the door, trying to get the stewardess is trying to, hey, little boy, get off the door. You can't touch the door. The pilot comes out. The pilot, I'm like yelling at the relief pilot, no, he's afraid of airplanes. I told him it was a bus. And they're like trying to get him off the door. Well, if you know my son, once he knows something, forget it. Like, there was no freaking way they were going to get him off that door. So finally, the pilot, back then you could go in the cockpit. Back then, before 9/11 and all that, you could go in the cockpit. So the pilot's like, yeah, buddy, come here, I'll show you the cockpit and all that. And so him and the relief pilot sat in the cockpit, and they sat there all buckled in, and my son was like double, triple locked in, like a flight jacket, like cocooned in there. And they kept them all entertained the whole flight in there. And I'm like, so then halfway through the flight, the relief pilot says, oh, I think he's calmed down enough. We can sit him out here and he can have a snack and everything. And my son was like, oh, I got to fly the airplane. Then the passengers were like, what? He didn't really get to fly the airplane. I really don't think so. I don't know. The door was shut. I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they're just, before we even backed up or anything, before he could touch anything he shouldn't, they just told him he was flying because he was in a jump seat or whatever. They had him. It was like the stewardess's one with the harness and the it wasn't just a regular lap belt. He was like stuck in there. It was pretty darn funny, I want to tell you. I never laughed so hard in my life after the fright went out of me, after, oh my God, he's going to pry the door open. We're going to get kicked off the plane. We're going to get banned. We'll never get to go on American Airlines again. That was when I took American Airlines all the time. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh, heart attack. My son, it was the heart attack, man, It was like he couldn't do something halfway. He had to do it all the way. All the way. He's still that way. He's not a daredevil. No. He just now, I think in his old age, gotten to a point where he doesn't mind roller coasters. But he was like, no roller coasters, no water slides, no. It took him forever, but I was like that too. I didn't like water slides. Like, no, anything too fast that I couldn't control. So of all the things you can do in Florida, which there's tons, Um, I guess I'm pretty sheltered, and I haven't really done. When I went to Busch Gardens, um, we got to be up close with alligators and stuff. I'm not an alligator fan. Um, snapping turtles, alligators. I grew up in a neighborhood that had snapping turtles. Snakes. I know, what am I doing in Texas, right? They have all of that. Um, you know, what I want to do is a bay or an area that the water has a fluorescent plankton, like a fluorescent enzyme in it, that when you disturb the surface of the water, it fluoresces. And there's actually a place in where I lived in near Mustang Island that does the same thing. The water fluorescence at night, and I didn't know that until I saw it. But I've been there at night, and don't think I've ever seen the water fluorescent at night. I don't know. So I'd have to check that out if I ever go to that part of Texas again. But yeah, they have um, uh, kayaks. You can go out on a kayak tour of the fluorescent waters and everything. There's still alligators in that water, though. Not a fan of alligators. Um, Funny though, my oldest daughter and I saw on, I think it was the Beeline for what's now, I think, Route 4, I'm not sure, from Orlando to Cape Canaveral and back. There's like a straight highway that goes straight from East Coast to West Coast. I think it's Route 4. Highway 4, Route 4, I don't know. It was called the Beeline back then. And there was like a 13-foot alligator on the side of the road. Then I've seen that in Texas too, not far from where I lived. It actually went through the swamp behind where I lived, because it came from over here and it went past the back of my house, down the waterway, and over to the high school, which was over here. Yeah, so we had this humongous alligator just in the middle of the day, and it got hit by a car, so it really didn't know where it was going. But yeah, Texas. So now that's the coastline. That's the Gulf of America side. I'm now in interior Texas, southern interior. I'm watching my cat look at birds out the window. Yeah, so we don't have alligators in the middle here because it's mostly desert. We have roadrunners, but no alligators. Coral Castle, and I'm not sure where Coral Castle is. It's south of Tampa and south of Miami. And I've been wanting to go there, and I was supposed to go there after my last cruise, but we got tied up with getting the vehicle for our wheelchairs. That whole day was ruined, like wiped out. It was like, forget doing anything that day. We spent the whole day trying to get our vehicle, get our rental vehicle for the wheelchairs, get our stuff loaded in, get me and Kenny loaded in, and get from Tampa to Orlando, where we had our Verbo to take 11-day trip with Kenny to Disney World. So that ruined one day. So that took up that whole day. All because we didn't have time to combine our assets, me and Rebecca. So she was paying half and I was paying half, and we were trying to combine things, pay. Why can't you split a bill? It's like, okay, and this was before Cash App and all that. I don't know. We couldn't figure out how to get it all on one card to be able to do it. And she had a card and I had a card, and ever the cards, train, show, meet, whatever. So we ended up doing it. The owner of the rental car company had to come do it because none of his employees could seem to do the transaction. It was $1,000 transaction. Hello, give me a break. Yeah, 10 days, $100 a day. It's $1,000. The guy was going to miss out on. But yeah, so let's see. So we've driven through from Georgia down into Florida, St. Augustine's. I want to go to the racetracks. I want to go to what are the historical parts of Florida. There's a lot to do. I've never been down the Keys. I want to go to the Keys. I don't know how many of you have done any of that. That would be nice to hear from you guys in the comments below where you like to go. Where do you like to camp? Where do you like to stay? I know that I'll be doing Thousand Trails a lot when I'm there because I plan on being in Nova Scotia during the summer and then Florida, make my way through the holidays over to my son in Kentucky, and then, from Nova Scotia down to Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, up through Kentucky, or down through Kentucky, then down into Florida for the winter, and spend the holidays with my son in Kentucky with my daughter-in-law and her family. And so that'll be nice. And I want to get over to see more of Florida, not just, have a friend in Ocala, or I think it's Ocala. I think so. I got friends all through down there. They all pop up and say, "Don't forget, we live there too," which is great. I can't wait to get around to seeing everybody. I'm hoping to take another cruise. Maybe not out of Miami. I'm not fans with Miami's port of Miami. I haven't been out the port of Tampa yet. I hear it's not bad. It's not crazy. And I heard that they added on a lot to Cape Canaveral or Port Canaveral. I've been through Port Canaveral before. That was easy peasy. That was a long time ago. I don't know what it's like now. It could be crazy for all I know. But Miami is like little teeny one-way streets and like so much traffic because it's like many ships go out of there. So it's like like cars, and they're trying to get in, and there's no parking nowhere. And how do you make it where you need to be without crashing into somebody? I don't know. I'm just not into that. I would probably take an Uber or something because they know where they're going and they drop you off at the right spot and they let you out, and that's okay. But when you're trying to drive yourself, like we took a handicap Uber over from our hotel to, no, it was a handicap taxi, come to think of it, because Uber didn't have room, an accommodation for my wheelchair. So a taxi company had a wheelchair accessible vehicle, but they had to get it out of the parking lot. It was like boxed in wherever they keep their taxi cab. They had to it's kind of in the middle of the lot. We got to move cars to get it. It's like, yeah, and I got to, I called you yesterday and I have a boat to catch, So even that was like a hassle. It was like, I don't know, just Miami seemed like very expensive hotel for what we got. They weren't that accommodating. It was loud in the lobby when it shouldn't have been. Like, you go in lobbies of hotels, usually you can pretty much hear a pin drop. They had like music and they kept turning it up. Like, we were trying to talk. We were a big group and we were trying to talk. And I don't know why we didn't end up outside where the pool was, where we could actually talk and be heard and all that. But no, we were in, like, we had to push all tables together, and it was kind of nuts. It wasn't organized. It was kind of chaotic. And they weren't that accommodating. For all the money we were spending as a group, you know, that was, quite a lot of money we spent as a group in that hotel. And they were not accommodating. And we weren't rude or loud or drunk or anything. I mean, we would kind of loud. We were clapping, and doing stuff like that. But like, they could have gave us a ballroom, not a ballroom, but like a convention room, a conference room or something where we could all have been a little more organized. I don't know. It wasn't to work out right. I've been in big groups before in like hotels where you can rent a whole room for not that much for the whole night and have a podium and microphones and do PowerPoint and presentations, and that's how it should have been. That's how I thought it was going to be. But nope, wasn't that way at all. But anyway, I was kind of complaining, but I don't mean to complain. It's just, if I had to do it again, I wouldn't do Miami. The hotel was expensive. It was a bunch of, I don't know, it wasn't peaceful or less stressful, but it just seemed amped up all the time. And coming from, like, I'm laid back. I'm not out in public that much. I'm such a homebody, private person. But I've done conventions. I've done, corporate stuff. And I like organization, I guess is what I'm saying. I like more coordinated things, being more coordinated. But anyway, so let's see. What else is in Florida? I don't know. There's still a lot of history, a lot of lighthouses along the coastline, walking trails, biking trails, hiking trails, water sports, if you don't mind alligators. It's funny, every body of water in Florida and Georgia and Alabama and you name it, pretty much all along the Gulf Coast, any place this swamp has alligators. Every body of water has an alligator in it of some sort. So, yeah, if I go to Florida and spend a lot of time there, I don't think I'll be doing a lot of anything in the water too much. Well, I like my legs and arms. I don't like being chased or snapped at by alligators or anaconda or pythons or constrictors or big slimy snakes, cottonmouths. Nothing venomous. You have coral snakes on the coastline in Texas. Yeah, I like zoos and places to go. I don't know. I guess I'm not a theme park person. I'm just I'll go in a swamp buggy, one of those big high swamp buggy things. Try and get my butt up in one of those when you're handicapped. I don't know how they do it. Take a crane and lift me up and put me in. And I come back. Maybe, who knows? That would be funny. How accessible are swamp buggies? I won't do an airboat. I don't think I'd do an airboat. How about you? If you're disabled or have trouble walking or staying afloat, would you do an airboat in Florida? Would you feel comfortable in anything that might sink when you know there's alligators in the water or sharks? Well, I remember Jaws. I didn't go to Martha's Vineyard or Cape Cod for a long time after that. I went to Nantucket only because there was so much to do away from the water. Good restaurants, bookstores. You could go see all the houses and the history museum and stuff like that. I've done Block Island, and I don't know. I grew up on the ocean. I grew up right next to the ocean, and I've caught sharks before when I went fishing. But I wasn't one. I did jump off my dad's boat in the middle of the ocean a couple of times and swam around, but I didn't like not being able to see what was below my feet. And I did go swimming in the Gulf of Mexico maybe 5 times. And I got a Portuguese man of war wrapped around my leg. And that was the end of that. That burned and stung for 2 years. I had like nerve burns, it felt like fire and stinging nettles and you name it. It was horrible. Yeah, no, jellyfish. I stepped on a white jellyfish when I was in Canada when I was a kid too. It's not. No thanks. It's not a. I grew up on the ocean. I don't mind wading in the water if there's no jellyfish. Uh-uh. I'm older now too, so less tolerant. But yeah, I'd love to do more cruises. I'd love to do, you know, the farm stands in Florida are great. The pumpkin patches, holiday events, so much to do in Florida. I didn't take notes tonight. I didn't save anything on my phone to show y'all. I just figured I'd wing it. Wanted to at least show up because I promised to. I was hoping to get Kenny or somebody to come up here with me, talk about Florida with me. But I guess that's not happening either. I don't think I'm going to stay on the whole hour. I think I'll stay on a little bit longer. I'm tired. I'll have to, like New Hampshire, I got two more episodes, 2 more live streams in the series, and have some guests come on. Give me a chance. Let me gather some people from Florida. I know a few people that might join me if they're not on a cruise, or busy or doing this or that. So give me a while. I'll get back to you on Florida. Maybe next time we'll talk about Colorado. I do have pictures and stories and adventures from Colorado when I went to Colorado. Running out of states as far as the ones I've been to. So I'll have to research the others and let you know my laundry list, my bucket list, and what that has in store, what I want to do, what you can do being disabled, and how you can get out and have a good time. Because if you follow me, if I get to go and do more traveling, I'll bring y'all with me, and you'll get to do step by step with me all my travels throughout the United States and Canada, and I can't wait. That's going to be an awesome thing. Still working on it, folks. Still saving for my bus. Haven't reached my goal yet. I've had a few setbacks. Again, still again, one, not just one, not just my health, but there's other things that financial setbacks are going on, and you know, some of it's a little politically related, so I don't want to talk about anything politics. But yeah, I'm on Medicaid and Medicare and disability, and so it's been rough. Things have changed. Things have, they put you through the ringer. But that would have happened anyway. Well, I believe so anyway. Things are changing, not necessarily for the good or bad, just things, things got to change somewhere. So again, politics, sorry. We'll be as vague as possible because I don't really do religion on my channel, and I really don't do politics on my channel. Definitely try not to swear. I think I have maybe I started my channel in 2018. I think I swore 5 times. Maybe 5 times. So I try not to curse or swear. I just try to be happy and upbeat. I can't always be, but I try. And I want to let you know that, if you're in a wheelchair, if you have visible disabilities or invisible disabilities, if you have depression, if you have anxiety, if you have OCD, if you have anything that qualifies you or has to do with disabilities or anything, come join me. We can talk about it together. Yeah, I have a lot of things that I don't discuss that, are my disabilities. Some of them I do, and probably I'll, talk about more as I go along. The biggest thing that I talk about is accessibility. And I think I'll just do a whole thing about cruise ship accessibility and airplane travel related accessibility. Maybe some different products that or mobility items that are available for people in wheelchairs to have accessibility to beaches and to hiking trails and different things like that. They are coming up with more and more items, and some of them you can get grants for, some of them you can. There's different ways of getting some of the equipment, and I'm learning as I go along how to maybe get that and make it more accessible for people who need accessibility items. I'm silly. I'm sorry. I'm overtired and kind of just losing my focus here. So, well, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being with me. I put out some shorts and I put out another video today. I try to keep up my content even if I can't get on my live. I always have something going out. I hope you look into it. I hope you watch some of my past videos. You never know what you're going to find there. I'm sure that you'll find something you like. If you're a Disney fan, so am I. I mean, there's Hey Hey over here. Oop. Hey Hey over here. And I have a Snow White apple here, a Cinderella slipper here, and I have more Disney things hiding around, the hidden Disney stuff. So when I get my bus, there'll be more Disney things put up and around. I just don't want to put a lot into the apartment, just my studio, so it looks nice. Because I want to save it and keep it nice for my bus. So, all right. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here with me. Please, if you like any of my content at all, please hit the like, share any of it out to your friends, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I know a lot of my new watch hours are a lot of people lately. It's like 67% are non-subscribed people. So think about subscribing. It helps others to be able to come see my content, to be able to YouTube analytics to show it to more people, so that they can enjoy it, so they can get some tips and tricks and everything if they're disabled, and even if you're not disabled. I'm not that bad to hang around with. Yeah, so please subscribe. Take a look around. Eventually, I'm going to get around to my Patreon. I'm working on it. I wanted to wait until the weather breaks, because who can go out and film content in 104-degree weather? Kind of hard. When I go to San Antonio for my operation, but that's in November, so it's going to be cooled off by then. I don't know, if anything happens and I'm taking a ride in the car in 104-degree weather, I'll, videotape it and try and get it out to you. Well, I love you all, and I really appreciate every single one of you, and I hope that you will come back and see me again. So have a good night. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next one.